Today's story is about instinct, unwavering loyalty, and a betrayal of trust so profound it took a dog to expose it. This is the story of Officer Ben Carter and his best friend, a legendary Labrador named Atlas. Their journey began on a perfect autumn day, a day so beautiful no one could have predicted the chilling secret that was about to be unleashed. Today's story is about instinct, unwavering loyalty, and a betrayal of trust so profound it took a dog to expose it. This is the story of Officer Ben Carter and his best friend, a legendary Labrador named Atlas. Their journey began on a perfect autumn day, a day so beautiful no one could have predicted the chilling secret that was about to be unleashed. Ben Carter had a reputation on the force. He was the kind of cop who was always calm, always in control. And that was all thanks to Atlas. Their bond was forged not on a training ground, but in the trenches of the worst cases. I'll never forget the time a suspect cornered in a warehouse got the drop on Ben. Just as the guy's hand went for his weapon, Atlas, without a single command, lunged forward and took the bullet intended for Ben. It wasn't just training. It was pure, unadulterated devotion. Atlas was a protector, a partner, a legend. So when they both retired to a life of quiet normalcy, everyone on the force knew it was well-deserved. Their new life was simple, filled with lazy afternoons and the kind of peace that comes after a lifetime of conflict. This new chapter was exactly what they both needed. That is until the Maple Creek Fall Festival. It was the kind of perfect autumn day that makes you feel like everything is right in the world. The air was crisp, the sun was bright, and the carnival grounds were buzzing with the sound of laughter. Ben and Atlas were there for a simple community meet and greet, a chance for the kids to pet a real-life hero. Atlas, with his gentle wagging tail, was a natural. He posed for photos, let toddlers pull his floppy ears, and seemed to soak in all the affection. Everything was perfect. Until it wasn't. Suddenly, a giant mascot dressed as Barnaby the Bear came into view. He was waving exaggeratedly at a group of children near the dunk tank, his movements a little too stiff, a little too rehearsed. The moment Atlas saw him, his entire body went rigid. The playful wag stopped. A low, guttural growl rose from his chest, a sound Ben hadn't heard in years. Before Ben could even react, Atlas lunged. The leash slipped from Ben's hand, and in a blur of motion, Atlas was on the mascot, his jaws locked onto the bear's fuzzy arm. Screams erupted. Popcorn flew everywhere. Parents pulled their children back in a panic, and a moment of innocent fun turned into pure chaos. People yelled, "Get your dog!" and "Call animal control." The festival organizer, a woman in a windbreaker, was furious. She demanded Ben and his vicious dog leave immediately, threatening to call the police herself. Even Ben's old lieutenant called later that day, his voice laced with disappointment. "Ben, you're tarnishing Atlas's legacy. It's time to face the facts. He's just a dog now." Everyone saw a retired cop who couldn't control his dog, a terrifying animal that had snapped without reason. But Ben saw something else. He saw the intense surgical precision of the bite. He saw the mascot refuse to take off his head even when he stumbled back in what looked like pain. He saw a brief cold flash in the mascot's eyes, not of fear, but of pure calculation as he scrambled away. And Ben saw Atlas's eyes. They weren't filled with rage. They were filled with a focused, almost chilling alertness. What if everything we think we know about a situation is wrong? What if we're so caught up in the chaos that we miss the truth right in front of us? Everyone at that festival saw a dog attacking a performer, but what they didn't see was what Atlas smelled. What could a retired police dog possibly sense at a children's festival that would make him risk everything? The truth was hidden beneath the costume, and as Ben would soon discover, Atlas's mistake was actually the first step in a final and far more dangerous mission. The crowd's angry shouts echoed in Ben's ears. His lieutenant's words were a cold voice in his head. "Ben, you're tarnishing Atlas's legacy." The public's judgment was a heavy weight, but as Ben looked down at Atlas's unwavering gaze, all doubt vanished. "You're not a crazy old dog," he murmured. "You're showing me something. You're doing what you've always done, aren't you, boy?" His decision was simple. He would investigate. Alone. The hunt began where the incident ended, the massive dumpster behind the festival grounds. The air was thick with the smell of garbage, stale food, and engine fumes. He dug through every bag, every cardboard box, until his eyes landed on a black plastic bag carelessly tossed aside. As he pulled it out, a sharp chemical scent hit him. Not a festival smell, but the metallic odor of industrial-grade cleaning agents. Inside the bag was the discarded Barnaby the Bear costume. But that wasn't all. Tucked inside a hidden pouch sewn into the fabric, Ben found a small, empty leather wallet. It was slick to the touch, and it carried that same strange chemical scent. Ben recognized it, a smell he had encountered once before at a crime scene he could never forget. Beside the wallet was a small, ornate butterfly button snapped off a child's jacket. This bag. It's not garbage, Ben whispered Atlas, standing by his side, letting out a soft whine as if to confirm. This is evidence. Someone tried to make it disappear. Ben didn't go to the police. He knew they would see only a retired cop clutching a piece of trash. He chose a different path. He reached out to an old contact, a data analyst, telling him he had a crazy hunch. He gave him the name on the costume's label, the Friendly Friends Entertainment Company. And that's when the story took a chilling turn. The data revealed the Friendly Friends was a shell corporation registered to a fake address in a distant state. It had no employees, no tax records, and no official business history. Yet it had a single IP address used to book events across the country. Ben cross-referenced the festivals the company had attended with every missing persons case in the region. A horrifying pattern emerged. Everywhere the Friendly Friends went, a child went missing. This wasn't a random act of violence. It was a cold, calculated network using children's entertainment as a hunting ground. The criminals weren't just preying on children. They were laughing in the faces of grieving parents and clueless authorities. The man in the bear suit wasn't an isolated case. He was a small piece of a much larger, more terrifying puzzle. Just as Ben was about to call his old lieutenant, he found a package waiting on his porch. It was an unmarked envelope, and inside was a single blurred photo. A photo of Atlas taken through his backyard fence. The picture was a chilling warning they knew where he lived. Ben looked at the blurred image and his blood ran cold. He had been so focused on the monster's face that he never saw the monster's eyes. And he knew in that terrifying moment that this wasn't just a mission anymore. It was personal. The blurred image was a punch to the gut. The familiar fence, the porch swing, and the undeniable shape of Atlas lying in the yard. They knew who he was. They had been watching his house. The threat wasn't a case anymore. It was a war. Ben's hands trembled with a fear that quickly turned to white-hot rage. He wasn't just fighting for justice. He was fighting for his best friend. That photo, meant to be a warning, was also a clue. It told Ben he was on the right path. He immediately went back to the data his friend had sent, zeroing in on the next event on the list, the Silverwood Halloween Carnival, just 50 miles away. Every detail matched the location, the time, and the looming presence of Barnaby the Bear. Ben knew he had to go. He couldn't wait for police bureaucracy, couldn't waste another second. He had to act now. As night fell, Ben fastened Atlas into his old K9 vest. It was faded and worn, a relic of a past life, but it felt like a suit of armor. This wasn't just a mission. It was their last ride. The air in Silverwood was thick with the scent of candied apples and decaying leaves. Hundreds of children in costumes ran through the streets, their laughter a beautiful, haunting symphony. Hiding behind a row of trees, Ben spotted Barnaby the Bear, handing out candy to kids, an image of pure innocence that hid a monstrous truth. Ben had a plan. No direct attack. He would let Atlas lead the way, trusting his four-legged partner's instincts over any human intuition. Atlas weaved through the crowd, his nose working tirelessly until he suddenly stopped dead in his tracks. His attention was fixed on an old white delivery van parked discreetly behind a drink stand. Ben cautiously peered through the van's grimy window. He saw a man struggling with a small crate inside. Ben's heart dropped into his stomach. It wasn't an animal. It was a little boy. His mouth taped shut, his eyes wide with fear. The man from the festival, the Mascot, was there in the flesh. Hot blood rushed to Ben's head. He had to move now. The culprit turned, saw Ben's eyes through the glass, and panic flashed in his face. He scrambled into the driver's seat. Atlas attack. With a guttural roar, Atlas lunged. Not at the man, but at the van's side door. He slammed his body against it, a final act of force, pushing the door inward just enough to jam it shut. The man cursed, ramming the gear shift into drive, but the van wouldn't budge. He was trapped. That one powerful collision was the climax of a lifetime of training. And it was all Atlas needed. The sirens were the most beautiful sound Ben had ever heard. Within minutes, the carnival was swarming with police. Ben didn't have to say a word. The scene spoke for itself. The jammed van door, the terrified little boy, and the cold, calculating look on the criminal's face as he was finally caught. The officers, some of them Ben's former colleagues, looked from the man to the boy to Atlas. They saw the truth in Atlas's tired, knowing eyes. The story was everywhere. Local news, then national news, all broadcasting the same headline: Retired K-9 hero uncovers child abduction ring. And the same people who had shouted at Ben at the fall festival were now sending cards and letters calling Atlas a legend. It was a swift, complete vindication. The network was dismantled. The man was convicted, and the lives of countless children were saved. But none of that mattered to Ben as much as the look on Atlas's face. His work was done. His purpose fulfilled. The weeks that followed were filled with quiet joy. Atlas was honored, given medals, and featured in newspapers, but he didn't care about any of it. He was just a dog, a good boy who finally got to rest. They spent their days taking long, peaceful walks. Ben would sit on the porch, Atlas's head in his lap, stroking his fur and murmuring, "We did it, boy. We did it." The end, when it came, was not sudden. It was a gradual dimming of a bright light. Atlas's body was worn out. The years of duty, the tireless training, and the final heroic act had taken their toll. One afternoon as the sun set, Ben found Atlas lying peacefully under the porch swing, the very spot captured in that terrifying photo. He lay down beside him, and with a final slow tail wag, Atlas passed away in his arms, a protector to the very end. Ben didn't want a ceremony. He didn't want a monument. All he needed was a small flat rock in his garden. He took a nail, and with trembling hands, he carved a single line: Atlas Partner Protector, always watching. It wasn't just a marker for a dog. It was a tribute to the truth, to a bond that proved that courage and loyalty are a force that never ever retires. The months after Atlas's passing were difficult for Ben. The silence in the house was deafening. He had lost not just a partner, but the very purpose that had defined his life. He spent his days in quiet reflection, often sitting by the small stone marker he had carved in the garden. He knew he couldn't let Atlas's legacy end there. It had to mean something more. That's when an idea sparked by his grief and his unwavering belief began to take shape. Ben realized that Atlas's final act wasn't an anomaly. It was a testament to the untapped potential of every retired K-9. He sold his house, used his savings, and started a new foundation, a small non-profit organization called the Atlas Foundation. Its mission was simple but powerful: to give retired police dogs a second career as scent detection dogs for missing persons cases, a purpose beyond the badges and the streets. The story of Atlas became the foundation's first case study, a powerful symbol of their work. Ben would speak to families of missing children not as a police officer, but as a man who knew what it felt like to believe in an instinct no one else saw. He would often be asked, "How did you know to trust him? How did you know Atlas wasn't just a dog?" And Ben's answer was always the same. Some truths, he would say, can't be seen. They can only be sensed. Atlas taught me that instinct is never wrong. And that's the real moral of this story. It's a lesson that goes far beyond a hero dog and a courageous man. It's a reminder that courage isn't always a roar. Sometimes it's a quiet loyalty. That trust isn't given. It's earned. Atlas proved that a partner's devotion, a protector's instinct, and a hero's heart are forces that never ever retire. They simply find a new purpose. So where does that leave us? with a story that reminds us to trust our gut, to stand by the ones who stand by us, and to see the hero in everyone, even when the rest of the world sees a monster. If you have a pet that's ever shown you a strange, uncanny instinct, a moment where they sensed something you couldn't see, drop your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. And if Atlas's story inspired you, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll never miss the next incredible tale of courage we share right here. Thanks for watching.